Thank you for accepting our invitation to meet with you. I really want to take this opportunity to speak with you about a very important initiative that's taking place in the diocese. It's called Rooted in Faith and Forward in Hope. And I think those two words, rooted and forward, pretty much capture the whole spirit of this initiative. This is the end result of a 3-year internal search in the diocese, which seeks to answer the question, what does the diocese need to do in order to remain stable and growthful in the years to come? It has gone through many phases. It's been the end result of an awful lot of consultation. I know all the pastors were consulted, all the priests. Virtually anyone in the diocese who has any major leadership position was consulted about this program. And what comes to us now is this initiative that is going to be talked about in all the parishes of the diocese, and every parishioner in some manner or another is going to be contacted. The initiative focuses on 5 major areas that are considered the most crucial areas for the well-being of the diocese, not only in the immediate future, but for years to come. I'd like to talk to you about each of those 5 areas individually, but as you'll see, I think they are all interconnected with one another. The first of these areas has to do with the parish. For all practical purposes, the parish is the church for most people. Everybody knows there's a pope, everybody knows that there's a hierarchy, that the church is a very large organization. But in the actual lived experience of people, the parish and the church are one and the same thing. Our parish is particularly blessed. We have a great gathering of people who are highly professional, highly resourced. We have many blessings in this parish. But our parish is not typical. In fact, I would suggest to you, our parish is rather exceptional. There are many parishes in the diocese who need support. And one of the thrusts of this initiative is to bring them that support so that every parish will have the resources necessary to continue the work of Christ in the particular area that is being served by that parish. A closely associated area with the parish is the second focus, and that's the area of Catholic education. We can be very, very proud of what Catholic education has done in this diocese over the years. I would say to you, it is responsible for the level of Catholic identity among the Catholic population in this area, probably more than any other factor aside from the parish itself. Catholic education is a very, very important resource that we want to keep strong for the future. And we want to ensure that as many students who would like to take advantage of Catholic education are able to do so. The quality of our educational system is very high. It is comparable to the best schools in the area. Every year, the diocese receives requests for about 10,000 students who would like to enter into Catholic education but don't have the resources. Currently, the diocese is able to respond to about 3,300 of those students, and we'd like to raise that number. As a result of this initiative, it is hoped that we'll be able to reach at least 2,000 more, and over time perhaps reach out to all students who would like to participate in Catholic education. A third major focus of this initiative is evangelization. Evangelization is that effort, that ministry in the church, which seeks to make the reality of Christ and His gospel available to as many people as possible. Very often evangelization is thought of as an outreach to others who are not Catholic. Well, it has that quality to it, yes. But evangelization is also a reach internally, to reach those Catholics whose faith is weak, who are in doubt, who are struggling, those who need a deeper grounding in their faith. All of these are part of the ministry of evangelization. And one of the focuses of this program will be to provide the resources to do that kind of evangelization. We live more and more in a media culture, and so the church is wanting to use the media more effectively as a way of reaching out to others. In fact, one of the visions of this initiative is to create a media resource center that will have all kinds of resources available for this form of evangelization. Bishop Greaves has agreed to head up that organization and to pilot it in its development within the diocese. A fourth major focus in this initiative is the area of charity. Now, every year we have a Catholic Charities Appeal. That money is pretty much in and out money, and what I mean by that is the monies taken in a given year are used immediately to help people in all manner of need throughout the diocese. This effort at charity is going to go deeper than that. This effort at charity is going to go toward the renovation or the preservation or the establishment of charity centers throughout the area, throughout the diocesan area, in places in the diocese where there is a significant amount of need and poverty. If you were to take a look at the map of the diocese, you could readily identify pockets where people are trapped in poverty. Poverty is rampant in this area, as you may well know. A recent study indicated that Youngstown is the most impoverished city in the entire country. And Cleveland follows close behind it at about 13 or 14. The church has always been a major effort in reaching out to the poor. And that's what we want to do. We want to establish centers where people can be identified and ministered to and helped, not to simply make their poverty more bearable, but rather to give them a leg up and assist them out of poverty, if at all possible. And to do that, obviously, we need significant resources to be able to do this very important work of charity, the work of Christ in this region of the church and in the diocese. A final focus, the fifth focus, has to do with those who are in positions of leadership in the clergy. Clergy leadership is essential to the church. We are a sacramental community. The church cannot thrive without religious leaders, without priests. The initiative is going to look at the ministry to clergy leaders in a number of areas. One of the most important areas is to make sure that our seminary system remains strong and is able to attract many men to positions of leadership in the church. If you've met any of our seminarians, you know how blessed we are as a community to have such great, wonderful guys who have made the commitment and continue to strive in that commitment and become more zealous in their commitment to the work of the church. We are very, very blessed and hope that even more members of our parish community will consider that ministry. But the diocese needs a strong seminary in order to continue the work of priestly formation. And a significant amount of these resources are going to go toward that seminary. Not only to the formation of the students, but also to the formation of staff. Father Damien, for example, is an example of one who was chosen to go on for future study and is now a member of the faculty and is doing significant work in our seminary. Another layer of clergy leadership is the diaconate program. We're fortunate to have a deacon in our program and a man who is currently a candidate for the diaconate. Again, our hope is that many men in the parish will consider entering into that kind of a leadership position. Another area of concern in clergy leadership has to do with the diaconate program. We are fortunate to have a deacon in our parish and another man who is seriously considering candidacy to the diaconate program. And our hope is that even more men from the parish will consider entering into the diaconate for service in the church. But again, in order to make this program strong, we need the resources in order to provide a program that will foster the development of our deacons so that they can take up strong and significant leadership positions in the church. Bishop Lennon has changed the diaconate program from a 3-year program to a 4-year program to ensure that our deacons have a very deep grounding in theology and pastoral practice and all the skills necessary for them to take up these leadership positions in the church. Now, in order for us to achieve all of these goals, the diocese has set for itself a goal of raising $125 million. This initiative has been taking place in the diocese for some time now. It's actually been going on in our own parish for a little while. And I'm happy to announce that at this date, we have currently raised about half of our goal. Each parish has been assigned a particular dollar goal in order to try and reach the overall goal for the diocese. Our parish has been assigned the goal of $2,100,000. We are more than halfway there already in pledges. We're hoping to be able to reach the full goal and maybe even go beyond it. If we reach our goal, or any part of the goal that we reach, 30% of the monies raised will stay right here in the parish. If we reach the entire goal, that means that roughly $600,000 will come back to the parish immediately, and we'll be able to use it for a variety of developments within the parish. One area that I would like to concentrate on is the church itself. I would like to renovate the sanctuary. I would like to renovate those parts of the church that are beginning to show wear. I'd like to move the tabernacle closer to the sanctuary. I'd like to enhance the decor of the church to continue to make it a center for worship that is inspirational and enlightening to people. If after that there are still monies left over, there are other projects that we can be involved in the diocese. And a further incentive for us is the fact that any monies that we raise over our goal, 70% of those monies will stay in the parish, and we can use them to enhance our parish community. Let me say a few words about the funds that will be collected from the overall initiative that's taking place in the entire diocese. All of this money is going to go into endowment. The Catholic Church historically has been good at raising money for specific interests and needs. However, we have been weak by comparison to other large organizations in the area of raising monies that will go into endowments that will serve our needs for a very long period of time. That's one of the major differences about this campaign. It's going to be something that goes into endowments, and the interest of those endowments will help us to continue these ministries for a long period of time to come. These monies that go into these endowments will be used only for the specific purpose for which they are designated. This is set up in such a way that these monies will not be used for any other purpose except for these 5 goals that I've outlined for you today. In fact, to ensure this, an oversight committee has been put in place, and the leader of the Cleveland Foundation is going to head up that oversight committee to ensure that these monies are used and developed exactly in the way in which they're being proposed to you. And so I would ask you 3 things. I would ask you, first of all, please pray for the success of this initiative. This is the kind of thing where if it's not successful in its first go-round, it's unlikely that we'd be able to launch this kind of initiative again for many years to come. And the needs will continue to grow during that period of time. I also ask you to pray for the success of the initiative within the parish. I must confess that as I began this process, I was kind of uneasy. Given the state of the economy, I was wondering about what it would be like to go out to ask people to make significant contributions. I must admit to you, I have been gratified by the process. One of the things that I've discovered is just how generous our people are in reaching out to all kinds of people in all kinds of efforts at charity. We are indeed blessed with very generous people and very committed people, people who are convinced of the goodness of what we do and are willing to put themselves out to ensure that the work of the church continues. We will be asking you to make a specific contribution. The fellow parishioners who have contacted you will explain that to you. They will be presenting to you a booklet such as the one I have here that will go into even more detail about all the things that I've just talked about. I'd ask you to take this and think about it and pray about it. Reflect. Ask yourself, what might the Lord be calling me to in making a commitment to this process and to this project? I assure you it is a very, very important and very, very needed effort being made in the diocese. It really will go to ensure the stability of the ministry of the diocese for years to come. And finally, I would ask you to consider this. I could really use your help in reaching out to fellow parishioners. If you can find it in your heart to work with me in making this initiative a really successful effort, I will really appreciate that. And again, those who have contacted you will explain that further to you. Let me assure you, I will be very, very appreciative of and very, very respectful to anything that you can do to help with this initiative. I understand that we work within limitations. There is nothing about this which is in any way a high-pressure sell. People have handled this in all different ways, and I have been appreciative and respectful of all the efforts that have been made. I thank you for listening to me. I ask God's blessing upon you and upon our parish community that we may continue to grow and thrive and serve the purposes of our Lord.